So good day everyone. For today's session, we will be dealing again with another topic which are entitled as conflict, war, and political language. First and foremost, we have to identify what is conflict. So in the real definition, conflict involves hostility, aggression, negative attitudes, and misunderstanding. It can occur between or within organizations or in a group or in a social or political environment. And it is said that it is a serious disagreement or argument between two or more people. Next, we have views on conflict over time, which the traditional view of 1930 to 1940, which says that conflict was seen as harmful and destructive because it was associated with violence and should be avoided or eliminated. Last, we have human relations view of 1940 to 1970. Conflict is a natural and inevitable. When we say inevitable, it's unavoidable or it cannot be avoided in a groups or in an organizations. And sometimes it can even benefit a group's performance when managed properly. And last, we have modern view. When we say modern view, it is conflict that is not only inevitable but also essential for effective performance. It is a healthy level of conflict that because it promotes creativity, self-criticism, and group viability, wherein leaders should manage conflict to keep it at an optimal level for growth.
First is the intra-individual conflict. This happens inside a person. It's like when you are confused about making a decision or when you struggle with your feelings. Second is inter-individual conflict, also called external conflict. This happens between people, like two people arguing or fighting because of a problem. In short, intra is fighting inside yourself and inter is fighting with others. Intra-group conflict. This happens when members of the same group argue or disagree. It can hurt the group's teamwork and performance. Intergroup conflict this is between groups. This happens when different groups or departments don't get along. They may complete or clash because of their goals or opinions. Inter-organizational conflict. This is when two or more organizations have issues with each other, but not all interactions lead to conflict. Only some do. Character versus character. This is when one character fights or has a problem with another character. It can be a physical fight or an argument. Character versus nature. This is when a character faces a problem from nature, like storms, floods, or earthquakes. The character struggles to survive. Character versus society. This is when a character disagrees or fights against the rules, laws, or beliefs of their community or society. War is a big conflict between regions, states, or countries. And civil war happens when people from same country fight each other.
Causes of war. Some would argue that religion is the cause of all wars. This is case, however, but it does play a role. So, in religion, religion historical played in conflicts because it is where different groups clash over beliefs. So it plays a role in politician because it influences the people's beliefs. So politicians may use this religion to seek for more support in the religious leaders. In ancient times, most wars were over land and food. So in ancient times, the survival was the only concern of the people there. If one group didn't have to enough land for farming, they fight the others to take it from them. Next, nationalism and patriotism have caused many wars, including the First World War. So, nationalism, as we all know, nationalism puts the country first, while patriotism is about loving and support your country in a positive way. So, this both can influence politics by shaping laws, leaders, and how countries interact with each other. But too much nationalism can lead to war. Political languages, the language of politics. So politics is concerned with power, the power to make decisions, to control resources, to control other people's behavior, and to control their values. They believe implicitly in linguistic relativity. They believe in the power of language to influence thought. So language plays role in this because words can shape people's how to think, to understand issues. This idea is connected to linguistic relativity, which means the way we speak can influence how we see the world. So politicians carefully chooses their words to persuade people. Presupposition. So presuppositions plays a crucial role in political discourse, shaping how messages are received and interpreted. In the Philippines political language, both true preposition and unfair prepositions are frequently used in speeches, campaigns, and governance. So, true presupposition in Philippines politics is based on assumption that the audience naturally accept as fact. For example, when a politician says, as a democratic nation, we value freedom of speech, that statement presupposes that the Philippines is a democracy, which is a widely accepted the fact. So next we have the unfair preposition. So, unfair presupposition in Philippines politics, on the other hand, is strategically used to manipulate public perception. A notable example is found in political speeches where leaders frame controversial issues in a way that forces the audience to accept a questionable premise. For instance, in former President Rodrigo Duterte's State of the Nation address, the SONA, he frequently used phrases like, rest assured that we will not dodge our obligation to fight for human rights. So this presupposes that his administration was actively protecting human rights despite widespread allegation of extrajudicial killings and human rights violations.
Implicature. Implicature refers to the implied meaning that is conveyed by the speaker beyond the explicitly stated in their words. Quantity. The first is quantity. Quantity is involved giving more or less information than expected. For example, a person A asked a person B. A person A said, how was the party? And the person B replied, it was fun. So, the person B implies it was enjoyable but doesn't provide the details or under-informing. The next is quality. Quality suggests that something might not be true if it's not explicitly stated. For example, person A said, did you meet John? And person B replied, he wasn't there. So person B said implies they didn't meet John because he wasn't there. The next is relation. Relations implies that what is said is relevant to the conversation. For example, person A, can you pick up some bread? Person B reply, I'm getting off work at 6. So person B implies that we'll have time to do it after 6. Next is manner. Manner is suggests that something is communicated in certain way to avoid ambiguity. For example, person A said, "Where is the meeting?" Person B reply, "It is in the big conference room on the second floor." So, person B detailed response clarifies the location. The next is metaphor. Metaphor is a figure of speech where is a word or phrases is implied to something it doesn't literally denote, creating a comparison to suggest similarity. Combining a metaphor with another figure of style. For example, metaphor and simile. The metaphor and simile is combining. So, here the example. Philippine politics is a circus, like a magic show. Ang metaphor dito ay yung Philippine politics is a circus kasi ito yung every election session is a circus. So, ang simile naman dito is like a magic show. Sa simile, is full of dazzling promises na yung mga promises na yun nag-fade once na nanalo na yung politician na yun. Next is make the audience aware of a metaphor. A writer can point out the metaphor directly by framing it or explaining its meaning. For example, when I say life is a journey, I don't mean it in the literal sense, but rather to suggest that our experiences take us down various paths full of twists and turns. The last metaphor, combining compatible metaphors. Here the example. Her words were a spark, lighting up the dark room, lighting fires of hope. The word as sparks and lighting up the room both fit the idea of illumination and energy, creating a cohesive image. A euphemism. A euphemism is a figure of speech where a mild or less direct term is used to replace a harsher or more blunt or unpleasant one. For example, a politician might say, "Hindi natin kayang mag-comply sa mga batas," instead of "magmakaalam tayo." A euphemism is the soften the language, implying a challenge instead of a deliberate refusal to obey.
Compares two things to help people understand an idea in a more creative and powerful way. So, for example, in politics, saying a politician is a lion because it implies strength and dominance. Here in the Philippines, maaari mong marinig ng strong leader described as a tiger, which also suggests power and authority. Next is euphemism. So, euphemism, this is when you use soft or polite words to describe something negative or unpleasant. For example, in politics, instead of saying the government made a mistake, one might say there were shortcomings in the implementation of the program. Next is rule of three. So, rule of three is saying things in threes makes the message stronger and easier to remember. For example, one candidate in political speech might promise jobs, justice, and progress for the nation. Of course, these three words are simply and easy for the audience to remember these three words. Next is parallelism. So, parallelism is using the same structure in a list of sentence to make it more balanced and rhythmic. For example, one candidate says will lower taxes, create jobs, and improve infrastructure. So each part of the sentence uses the same pattern, making the message feel balanced and strong.
So, ang Buddhisms is siyang funny or the outward things ayon kina George H. Bush and George W. Bush. So, ito is mag-ama sila na naging presidente sa Amerika. And then, yung humors nila is parang nagkalat siya sa mga interviews and yung mga speeches nila. Ito is merong tinatawag na malapropisms, neologisms, sponisms, and grammar mistakes. So, ang malapropisms is ito yung paggamit ng incorrect words that yung sounds is very similar. Ang neologisms naman, ito yung pag-invented ng words that yung mistakes is hindi siya masyadong pasok sa standard ng English. So, ang sponisms naman, ito yung pag-swap ng words that, pag-swap ng sounds or sentence, ay pag-swap ng sounds or letter sa dalawang words. Ang grammar mistake naman, ito yung paggamit ng wrong tense, phrase, or the subject. So, mayroong example dito sa may malapropisms, is mayroong example dito si George H.W. Bush. So, yung sentence na, we are enjoying struggle time and not enjoying them very much. So, dito is an odd contradictions that yung possible niyang ma-meant yung ironic. And then sa may neologisms naman, yung sinabi niyang a kinder gentle. So dito, it's hindi siya actual na neologisms is pero yung phrase is bago lang siya, they become emblematic of his campaign noon. So sa may sponisms niya is hindi pa siya totally na record. So wala pa. So sa may grammar mistake naman, yung sinabi niya na it's no exaggeration to say that the undecided school go one way or the other. So dito yung grammar niya is correct siya, but yung logical niya is empty. And then kay George W. Bush naman, yung ang malapropisms niya, yung sinabi niyang they underestimate me. So instead gamitan niya ng underestimate yung misunderestimate. And then sa may neologisms naman, ito yung sinabi niya, I am the decider. So dito is hindi siya talaga yung standard words ng political vocabulary, but ginawa siyang memes. Yes. Tapos na may sponisms naman, yung sinabi niya na I know how hard it's for the put food on your family. So dito yung the words niya na put food on your family is nagja-jumble siya ng syntax. Tapos na may grammar mistake niya naman, yung words niya na we got an issue in America, too many good does are getting out of the business. So dito is informal siya or the awkward construction. So sa may lexis in a linguistic is ito yung meaning of a words or phrases in a context kung paano mo siya gamitin. And then meron ding fixed definition of actual changes. Kung ito naman is kung paano mo siya gawin, like kung sino yung speaker, saan at kailan. So merong I, here and now. So yung I is inaano niya yung kung sino yung speaker that moment. And meron ding here, kung saang location, yung events ng speaker. And then meron ding now, this is the specific time of the words spoken. So sa may political correctness is ito yung movement of choice, like gumawa ng society or of more fair siya sa pagbabago the way people speak and act. So sometimes yung sensitive topic gaya ng race, gender, actions, and disability. For instance, yung words na yung passed away instead of dead. So, mas magandang gamitan mo siya ng handcraft. So, yung handcraft is more gentle siya pakinggan.